VLOGSMAS. What's good? If you can't already tell by the framing and the overall vibe, this is going to be another yap-heavy video, more than usual, at least. So strap in for that. I really just wanted to make this while it was still fresh on my brain, and the creative energy and the talking points and yada yada, while that was all still pretty fresh. So just got back home from a thing, and I should preface by saying it was a thing that I already didn't really want to go to, the closer it got to actually going to it. But it was one of those things where, one, I had already, I don't think I ever outright said, but I strongly implied that I was going to be there. And it just would have been a bad look if I wasn't there, if I didn't at least show face. So, did that, and it went fine. Like, I didn't have a bad time, but I also didn't necessarily have a good time. Partially because of, my naturally antisocial energy to begin with, or, well, it's a mix of antisocial and introvert in the sense of being around people for extended periods of time, like, legitimately drains me of energy like nothing else does. And it's very rare to find people that doesn't happen to me to, or like it doesn't happen to me around or with. Some of my favorite people in this world that I love spending time with the most out of anyone, I even need a break from them sometimes, and it's extremely rare where I find even one person, let alone a group of people, where being around them for extended periods of time doesn't make me want more time away from them, because I need that. I need time away from, I'm not exaggerating, like 98% of people. I need time away from them. Like, I need to see them, of course. There's a social aspect, so time with them, time spent with them, moments made with them, this, that, and the third. That is important. And the time away from them is just as important for me to recharge and sort of recover that social energy and whatnot. That's just how I am. That's how I've always been. And I think to an extent that kind of catches people by surprise sometimes, because when I get comfortable around people, or the more comfortable I get just with myself in general, they're more likely now than they ever would have been in the past. They're more likely to see the extroverted or sort of out there, goofy, funny part of me. Like, they're a lot more likely to see that now than they would have even 6 months or a year, 2 years plus ago, So, yeah. Again, I said all that to say I already wasn't really feeling up to going out, but again, it's something I'd already agreed to, and it would have looked bad, and it probably would have maybe disappointed some people if I didn't go. So I was like, well, let me just get it over with, and then that'll be that. So then I get there, and again, things didn't go bad. The longer I sat there, though, like, the longer I was there and the more I was, like, kind of in that environment and everything, I didn't feel bad, but the best way I could describe it was that I just felt, like, hollow, where it was just to the point where it was like, I really don't know what, like, I know logically what I'm doing here and why I'm here and the events that led me to get to here. Logically, I understand that. That all makes perfect sense to me logically, but from a emotional, maybe psychological, just like internal feelings, vibes standpoint, I'm like, it's not doing anything for me to be here. Now, there were some people there that, I enjoy seeing them. I enjoy talking to them, spending time with them. That's all well and good. And it was nice to see them, talk to them, spend time with them, converse, all this different stuff. That was cool. But I would say even amongst those people, there wasn't a single person where I was like since they're here and to not be a disappointment to them or to not upset them or whatever, I'll stay or I'll stick around longer than I want to. Not even one person that I could say that about currently. And it's not a knock on them by any stretch of the imagination. It's not even, to an extent, I wouldn't even say it's a knock on me. It's just like that sometimes, you know? And this already didn't really feel like the night for it for me. Like, I was really dreading it because I could just tell internally. I have it in me to show up. I have it in me to appear, to be there, but I don't have it in me to actually be there, you know, like in the way where it's like you're physically here, but you're mentally and emotionally, psychologically, you're somewhere else. That's how I felt this particular evening. So as soon as it was acceptable for me to not be there, I started to dip. And then even in the midst of me dipping, I was like, well, even though I've physically removed myself from the space, let me give it a good, honest 10 minutes. And then if there's something that can make me reconsider, then I will go back in and I will grin and I will bear it and I will push past that introvert, antisocial, non-social battery having part of me, and I'll just to see, you know? And then I got to about minute 6 of my 10-minute period, and then I called a good friend of mine. And, you know, I was just kind of describing how I felt about different things, both internally, like internal factors and external factors about as to why I was feeling how I was feeling and why I was in the car and not amongst the people and all of that. And it just kind of came to the conclusion where it's like, yeah, you know, you probably should go home. Like, if you're not feeling it and if it's not giving you anything internally to be there, or if you feel like you're not adding anything to the space and the space is not adding anything to you at this moment, then yeah, you should go home. And I'm like, that's what I needed to hear, and it's also what I wanted to hear. But it's always good to get a second opinion, especially when it comes to very complex things like that. But even in that feeling, I was trying to understand it, and I know there's a lot of different factors to it. It's nighttime in the wintertime. I already really don't want to be out. I have been, even though I haven't really, in my mind, I haven't been physically working as far as like, you know, going back and forth to school or to like an actual job at this particular time. Even though I haven't been doing that, I really have been throwing myself full force into, you know, this YouTube stuff, and that's been a lot more than I thought it was going to be between the editing and the technical issues, the litanies of technical issues. I don't regret it, and I'm going to keep doing it because, you know, it's fulfilling me internally and in a creative sense. But it has been a lot. It has, admittedly. My sleep cycle has been kind of thrown off, which my sleep cycle is already weird, and it's going to keep being weird, but it's gotten even weirder since I started doing this, which is crazy. So there's that aspect of it. And also, that was another thing. That's a good segue. Being in that space, just different aspects of it. I won't go into the details of it, but part of that hollow feeling was kind of realizing what I was, realizing my contributions to certain spaces and certain people and what it was doing for me or what I thought it was going to do for me, and the realization of everything that it both was and was not doing for me internally. And it's like, I got to a point where, like, in that moment, like as it was happening, I realized I was sort of at like a crossroads where it's like, things that I thought that this was going to be, it's not. Certain things that I didn't think it was going to be, it is, and that's in both positive and negative ways. And it's just one of those things where it's like count up the cost moments where it's like, you know, how do you actually want to proceed? Because it's one of those very complex things in life where you get sort of attached to it, like the people, the process, the atmosphere. You do sort of get an attachment to that, but at the same time, going back to what is it actually doing for you, and then if it's not doing for you what you think it should be doing, then how's that energy transferring to those, that it would affect? Or how's that energy transferring to those who are gaining something from the same experience that you are not gaining something from, if that makes sense? So I'm still, even now, I'm still kind of sitting with that and still kind of assessing it. But internally, as I was explaining to my friend, I feel scribbles on the inside. Like, when you're watching an animated thing or something, and, there's a thought bubble or a little thing, and it's just scribbles, you can't really describe what scribbles means. But at the same time, it's one of those things where when you see it, you just understand it. You just understand. It's like, I feel scribbles. Or scribbles is like where you're feeling kind of all over the place and you can't really put a word or a specific feeling to it. That's how I feel right now. I feel very scribbly right now, So I'm still kind of getting to the bottom of that. And to be honest, I feel like I've largely already gotten to the bottom of it. And it's one of those situations where when I was younger and I would get to feeling like this, I would be like, well, what's my next move, or what does this mean? But now I'm at a point in life where I largely know what it does mean when I feel like how I feel right now, this scribbly feeling, and I know how I need to proceed. And I'm going to do that. I just need to figure out how best to do that in multiple ways that I'm not necessarily going to get into right now. But everything's all good. It was just an interesting moment where I would say the moral of this rant, or the sort of point of it, is just always trust your gut. Like, even if things are logically going good, or the path you're on seems like the logically right path, or logically path that makes sense for you to be on, your gut is always going to tell you what it actually is. Now, sometimes you might not be able to understand it because your gut doesn't speak actual words, but you have that feeling for a reason. If stuff feels off, it's because it's off. And there's readjustments and realignments that need to happen with certain things. Just as like when something is just so right, and even like logically be like, well, it hasn't been enough time, or I haven't been in this space, or I haven't been experiencing this long enough, or there's still so much things I need to figure out, so many questions that still need to be answered. Just like, that feeling of when like when something feels right and you just know that, same applies to when something is off or wrong or not giving what it should give. It goes both ways. So you have to learn how to trust in that feeling and be honest with yourself, and as honest as you can be with those around you when those feelings arise, and just do your best to process it in a way that's healthy and reasonably rational and safe, and all of the psychological therapist terms and all of that. Promise I'm not trying to preach at any of y'all right now. This is just me kind of letting my brain unravel a little bit, since again, I have been editing a lot the past few days, and at least for me, I feel like it's important to acknowledge when certain things are happening, both as a creator, someone that people are watching, and also for myself and those around me, but then also to the people I'm trying to somewhat foster a genuine connection with, via the YouTubes and the social medias and all that stuff. One thing about me is I'm always going to strive to be entertaining, and I'm always going to strive to be positive and promote good things, promote fun things, promote funny things, all that stuff. But I'm also going to be real. I'm not going to, I will perform to a certain extent, but I won't be performative in the sense of I'm not going to try to put on airs or put on a show just because I feel like that's what I should do. I'm always going to do that because it's what I want to do, and it's what's fulfilling, and it's putting out good energy into the world, not because it's anything that I feel like, oh, well, the camera's rolling, I have to, the show must go on. So, no, sometimes the show needs to pause. Sometimes the show needs to stop. Sometimes the show needs revisions. Sometimes the show needs a reboot, And I'll always be real about that. Now, I won't get into every single nitty-gritty detail about every single thing, because that's frankly not y'all's business. But I'll always be real as I can be, as authentic as I can be. And if at any point I feel like I'm straying away from that, I will do my best to catch myself, or I trust that my judgment will be good enough to have people around me that will, if I don't catch myself, they will catch me, and they will be real with me, and they will assist in that process of readjusting. It's always good to have those people in your life, and I will always strive to have those people in my life, as well as be that person, both in my life and in other people's lives. So that's my, as I like to put it, that's my word vomit for today. For those of you watching, take care of yourself, take care of your chickens, your mentals, all of that. You know what I'm saying? Don't get so caught up in the things you're wanting to do and the things you're wanting to be that you don't stop to consider or take care of the person you are now, if that makes sense. Like, don't get so caught up in the pursuit of where you want to be that you stop acknowledging where things are and how you're feeling right now, or invalidating feelings and thoughts and different ideas and different stuff like that. Just, I don't think it's wrong to envision or think of the future, but don't forget about right now, because you matter, your feelings matter, they're valid. The things you feel that you can't explain, that you can explain, that you know, that you don't know, this, that, third, the other, all of it is important, all of it is relevant, all of it matters, and you matter. Hoodies, I want one, I want to get one. I really want to get at least one in my lifetime. I really rock with that movement. Shout out Demetrius Harmon. For real. Did I really just do an ad plug for... I really did. And I'm not mad at it. Go support the You Matter movement. The hoodies, the merch, the movement, the message, all of it. Because it's a good message. And it's true. You do matter. We all matter. Everybody matters. I digress. Have a good day, night, evening, morning, supper, all of the things. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to those around you. Give grace. Receive grace. All of the things. And I'll catch you another time. If you're actually still sticking around, thank you for sticking around for this long, because I know I get rambling. I know I get long-winded and all of that. So if you're actually watching this towards the end, you a real one. I appreciate you. And... let me know what you want for Christmas next Christmas, because I'm definitely not getting you anything this Christmas. I'm not getting myself anything this Christmas. Let me know what you want next year, though. I can't promise you're going to get it, but you can still tell me. I would appreciate that. And I'll get you in the next one.